Hello and welcome. My name is Lisa Baldwin, and I'm super excited to be here today at the Illustration and Art Conference. My class today is all about illustration to sublimation. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, what it means is that we are going to take a simple illustration that I'm going to show you how to do in Adobe Illustrator. We are going to get it set up for sublimation. We're going to export it out. We're going to print it on a sublimation printer. We're going to go ahead and wrap it. We're going to do everything you need to do to get it ready. We're going to cook it in an oven. That's right. We're cooking today. We're going to cook it in an oven, and then we are going to go ahead and get it out of the oven and show you. I'm just going to show you just how easy it is to sublimate. So let me talk a little bit about exactly what we're going to make. Okay. So like I said, we're going to do a quick little illustration in Adobe Illustrator, and then we're going to print it out. So what we're going to do is we are going to do this illustration. And when we do it, we are going to be making it for this. That's right. A 40-ounce sublimation version of the oh so popular Stanley tumbler. Okay, so this is not a Stanley tumbler. This is a Stanley type tumbler, but it is a sublimatable type tumbler. You want to make sure that when you're doing sublimation, you always get a sublimation product. It doesn't work on just anything. You need to make sure that it's a sublimatable product so that the ink will infuse itself into the product and it is set up to take that. Okay, so that's what we want to do. So we're going to take this mug right here and we are going to turn it in to this. And I'm sorry there's such a glare, but we're going to take this cute little glare there. Hopefully that's a little bit better. But we are going to, it says coffee is my Valentine. She's got a little cute fanny pack, like I mentioned, and she's got a little Stanley mug, but coffee is my Valentine's, added some hearts, and it's all wrapped all the way around. And we are going to sublimate this. So how exactly do we get a sublimatable, the end product to be like this? But first, you got to come up with a design. So we're going to do that in Adobe Illustrator. And then you want to make sure that it's going to fit on your substrate. This is a substrate, okay? So anytime you're doing sublimation and you're going to do something like this, whether it's a skinny tumbler or whatever, you want to make sure that you get some measurements first. The first things you want to do is you want to measure this out because we're going to measure, there is a way, now we're going to do it in an oven, and there is a way to sublimate this whole entire thing top to bottom. You can do a whole big design all the way around. But today I'm just going to focus on just the top band. And the reason for that is because this is just going to be a straight long piece that we're gonna measure it out. And what you do is you just take a tape measure, right? You just wrap it around, you get a good measurement on it, and then that is what you're gonna set up the length of it and then the height, right? So we are gonna do, I'm gonna measure this out, and it comes out to be 12¼ inches, and the height from this band to here, and this is the part where I'm going to be sublimating, that I want to put my sublimation artwork on. We're going to measure that out, and it's about 5.5, but it could be a little less because you've got this tapered little inch here. So, and now that I mentioned the word tapered, the reason why we are not doing the whole entire thing in this course today is because this piece down here is a tapered piece. This piece right here is tapered. So there is a way to do all of this, but in order to do that, there's math involved. And that can take a little bit about trying to figure out circumference and then using a tool to make it, like wedge type thing and around. So there's a couple of my little cheater methods for that is go on and find yourself a template that you can download that somebody's already done that for you so you don't have to re-engineer it. Just make sure that when you get your template and you're going to use that, make sure that the size is going to fit the size of your tumbler that you've purchased to sublimate. So once we get all of our measurements set up, we could start getting into setting this up and start our design. But let me just talk a little bit about a few of the products that we're going to use once we get it designed. Okay, so we are going to design it in Adobe Illustrator. We're going to make sure that our design end product that gets printed out is 12.5 inches long by 5, or 12.25 by 5.5. And we're going to make sure that that is the right size so it fits when it comes out. It fits right on here. And I'm going to show you how to do the wrap and all of that when it gets to that. You want to use sublimation paper. You can't just use any paper. You have to use sublimation paper. And this particular time, we are going to use an 8.5 by 14. And the reason why is because of the 12-inch wrap length that we need. So we're going to make sure that we got the right paper. So you use sublimation paper. There's lots of brands of sublimation paper out there, but this is a particular one that I use. I use a sub. I'm not an affiliate, so I'm not plugging anything, but this is the one I use. And I use 8.5 by 14. My printer only does 8.5 by whatever length, but it only does 8.5 wide. Okay. There are printers out there that do bigger things and you could make it bigger, but this is what I use. And I'm able to use this for many projects. I can piece things together to make even bigger end results with stuff like tote bags or garden flags, or there's so many things that you can sublimate. And that is what I love about sublimation. I'm literally addicted to it. So, and the other thing is I love the fact that you can take anything that you can print, whether it's a picture or some type of artwork or a sketch. I mean, maybe your kids made something and they just drew you a cute little picture. You can scan that in, you can save it as a PNG, you export it out and you print it on your printer in a reverse image, and you can put it on anything. It's perfect for Valentine's Day, right? You can do all kinds of great stuff for your friends and your family and the grandparents and whoever. But that's what I love about sublimation. It's so easy to do, and there's no restrictions on having to do multiple layers of things when you're working with vinyl. But yeah, it's amazing. And I love it. And the artwork, when you're doing art, any of your illustrations and things like that it's endless because you're not limited to only having a certain amount of colors and layers and stuff like that. I mean, you could snap a picture of anything, your dog, your family, you could have a big group family, and you can put that on a mug, on a tumbler, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I love about sublimation. But you do need a few things. You need to have a sublimation printer with sublimation ink. You need sublimation paper, and then you need some sort of heat source that is going to heat these things up and get the sublimation ink infused into that sublimation substrate. Okay. So today, we are going to use a sublimation oven. That is the cute little blue oven behind me. And that is what we're going to use. And the reason why we're going to use an oven today, because normally I would use my orange mug or tumbler press to make something like this, just a simple skinny straight tumbler I use in my tumbler press. That is a 20-ounce skinny tumbler. This is a 40-ounce tapered beast of a tumbler, right? Okay. So this tumbler is not going to fit in my mug press and my tumbler press. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to set it up for an oven. And the oven is just as easy to use. It's maybe even a little bit more easier than a mug press because you got to make sure you got it just right and tight and the taping and the whole bit. And I'm going to show you why that is so much simpler when it comes to the oven. So, and why I like it. So we are going to use an oven today. The oven is going to be 355 degrees. It's in there for 6 minutes. You take it out and you just unwrap everything and voila, you've got a great project. Okay. So the other thing, let me just make sure I got everything. So the printer, we talked about the printer, use sublimation printer with sublimation ink and sublimation paper. We're going to use this is a sublimation oven. It's not just any old oven. It is a sublimation oven. You can get a convection oven, any type of convection oven like this. You don't want to use your oven in your home. No. Just get yourself something simple like this, especially if you really have the need to do like lots of sublimation stuff. So just get yourself a printer. Not a printer, I'm looking at the printer. Get yourself a sublimation oven and dedicate it for that, and it's perfect because the settings are there. There are like I said, you can. There's many types. It just has to be some type of convection type oven in order for you to do it. But I just went the route of just getting a pure sublimation oven and just called it a day at that, and it worked beautifully. So you can do things like this. The skinny tumblers, you can do anything you can sublimate in an oven. Now, and I don't say any, maybe I use that word too loosely. I don't say anything. You don't want to put your t-shirts or your tote bags or anything like that. Anything that you tape onto a substrate, like a hard substrate, you can use in your oven. Okay. So I put the tumblers in there. I put my tumblers in my mug and my mug press. You can do them in the oven as well. You can do multiple. You can put 4 or 5 skinny tumblers. I think you can put like 4 skinny tumblers in there at a time. You could put 2. I think you're stretching it by putting 2 of them in there. I just put 1 at a time in there to do this. But you could do things like dog bowls. There's so many things you can do. I also have a heat press that I use, and I use that for any flat surfaces. Like I do it for my clipboards and t-shirts and totes and anything flat, keychains, you name it. So I think that's enough about what you can do in the sublimation oven and tumbler and heat press. Like I said, all you need to do is make sure you have the right tools to get started. So we've got our sublimation paper. We've got this is a shrink wrap. This is what's necessary for the oven. And I'll show you in a video a little bit in a minute how to do that. So when you're doing a sublimation item in an oven, you tape it on and then you put a shrink wrap sleeve on it. You heat it up with a heat gun. It shrinks to this. And then what happens is that it holds that sublimation design on there, and you don't have to worry about it slipping around or ghosting or anything because it comes out beautifully because that shrink wrap really holds it tight. So let's get started on getting our design done. And then when we finish up with that, then we'll go more over on the actual outcome of what happens. Okay, here we go. Let's get started on drawing this illustration of our heart that we are going to sublimate. I'd like to start with just a 12 by 12. So do file, open, new, and just a plain 12 by 12 artboard. That's what I usually like to work with. And that's what I work with on most occasions. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw out a heart. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my blob brush, and I am just going to, I've got red as my color. And I'm not crazy about that. Let's just go ahead, and I am using a Wacom tablet to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple little tweaks and see if I can get it just right and exactly the way I want it to. So let me go ahead and fast forward to that. And okay, that's about the shape that I'd like. All right. So next, let's go ahead and start adding some things here. So I want to add some shading over here and a couple little things just to get it to look a little three-dimensional. So let's go ahead and add some shading to that. And all I'm going to do for that and how I do that. So I do like to do what I call the cheater method. And basically this piece right here is more or less a copy of the heart, of this heart. And then I just use the eraser tool to break it out. So you can do it many different ways, but I do like to use this because sometimes it just fits right in. So all I did was use my eraser tool and go ahead and divide that out. And then I can group it, delete this piece. I will take this piece and do the color match that I want, and then I'll just lay this right on top of here like this. And that's how I get my 3-dimension kind of feel to it. I want to go ahead and do a little white swoosh up here. I'm going to do that with just my blob brush and by using the color white. I want the end result to look like that. Perfect. As you can see, just by adding this and this, you're getting a little bit of 3-dimension in your design. So I'm just going to keep adding this for the essence of time. I do like to use my blob brush to draw certain things. Like, let me just change this over to black, change the color, and I kind of like to test it out over here if that's not right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a few things. I'm going to add some arms, I'm going to add some legs, and I'm going to add eyelashes and a face. So I'm just going to go ahead and illustrate this. Most of the drawings are done with the blob brush. So I do like to play around with that and to figure out exactly what is the right thickness that I want to use for my arms and my legs and my face details. But that's how I like to do it because I find it easy just to draw. All right, so let me go ahead and start getting some stuff added to this. So let me go ahead and let's add some eyes. In order to do the eyes, I'm just going to make a couple ovals. All right, so and I'm not quite sure if it's the right size, but let me go ahead. I think I want them more that size. Okay. So this is the size I want from here. I'm just going to blow this up a little bit more so you guys can see. It kind of reminds me of Mickey Mouse pants right now. But anyways, and so let's just keep adding. With adding circles, I'm going to add some black circles. That is that for the black portion of my eyes. I want to add a little detail, so I'm going to take little pieces up to kind of make them look like little highlights. I'll do some with just adding circles. That's all these are, as you can see the shapes. And I just duplicated the shape. What I usually like to do is build one side and then just duplicate the other. Now I want to add some eyelids. So now she's got some great little eyelids. Okay. All right. So there we go. Okay. Now I also want to add some little whites to the eyes as well. Just a little highlight here. So I'm going to go ahead and draw those real quick. All right. So next, let's draw some eyelashes. Let's give that a try. Too thin. Basic. And let's try this. Yeah, those will work. All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to just add a little bit of dupe. Oops. Not too straight. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I don't like those at all. I think that's too thick. So let's go down to 3. Let's see, is that one? Is this one that better? I don't know. Let's see. A little bit. Okay. And let's just go ahead and add those there. So let me just redo that real quick. There you go. That looks about right. I'm going to a couple more details. I'm just going to go ahead and keep going through this, and I'm going to add a little eyebrow here, a little eyebrow up there. And then I also want to do right underneath her eye as a cheek mark, the left and right side. And those are just the same little swoop, and that is that. Let's add the nose about right there. Then let's add a mouth. Okay. And how I add the mouth is just like to make a shape, right? And then I come over here and I just take my points and I pull it down. And then you can go ahead and check this color. You can change whatever color you want. You can change the thickness of the line on it. And yeah, I think that's about right. And let's see here. Let me go ahead and reshape that real quick. There we go. And then that is right. We'll go ahead and add a little extra piece over here. Just draw that and put it right there. Let's see. Okay. That looks about right. So she's looking pretty good. It's pretty simple. All right. Let's add some cheeks. Cheeks are just circles, just like this. Okay. We're going to take off the line. So just go ahead and cross the line off. And then I'm going to do an effect of a blur. And I'm going to use same blur just like that. That looks okay. And if that looks good, you just copy and paste it. Make sure you move it in the right spot. Well, it looks about right. You can put it about right there. What else does she need? Well, she's going to need some hands and she's going to need some legs. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start adding that stuff real quick. So let's go ahead and add another leg. That one's in front, that one's behind. Let's do her left arm and let's get her left hand. Let's go ahead and add the right arm. And then we're going to add her hand and the Stanley mug. And let's see, I think, she's getting real close to being done. Let's go ahead and add a cute little belly bag or fanny pack, whatever you would like to call it. So super easy, super fun, super almost done. All right, so let's add some text. And I'm going to type in coffee is my Valentine. Okay. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and break this up. Okay. And we will go back here. I think I want to make it bigger. I want to make it like this big. You can do it like this, and then you copy and paste. And sometimes I do this just to get the sizing right, but then you can just type this out and put Valentine, exclamation point. And if you want, you can change the color by clicking on it and then using the little eyedropper tool. And if I want it to match the red or this color, let's leave it at that. Okay, so let's do that. And if you want these two to match very easily, click on the one that you want to change, use the eyedropper tool. And if you click on the text, it will match the size and everything. So coffee is my Valentine. And I want to make it just a little bit bigger. And I want to make this one, actually, let me go back here, make this one the same size as this one. So just see how that just jumped up there. So just in a very short time, I went ahead and I drew and illustrated this entire thing. So that is all done. I call that good. All right. So then now that we're all done with it, we want to go ahead and get it ready for sublimation. It's all done. It's all illustrated. This right here is designed for a 12 by 12 layout, but we want to make sure that it's going to fit on our substrate that we're going to sublimate it on. And so we want to go ahead and do select all, expand here, expand appearance, and then object expand. Now that we have it ready so now let's get over to a new document that I've already brought up right here. This is a 8.5 by 14 piece of paper, sublimation paper setup. I'm going to print it on sublimation paper like I mentioned, but this is the size of our design that we want to make sure. Now we've already designed the coffee is my Valentine design. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste it over into here. I'm going to add some hearts, but this black box right here is exactly the size. We want to make sure our entire design fits within this box right here. So let me just go ahead and add that in there for the essence of time and here what we have. And this is our final design. And this right here is going to print out beautifully and we'll wrap it around. But what I like to do first is I like to go ahead and send this over to my regular printer, just the regular plain paper printer, my everyday office printer. And the reason why I do that is because I like to do a little test. And the reason I do tests is that way I wrap it around the substrate, make sure that it's going to fit. If it looks right, if I need to tweak it, adjust it, make it tighter, make it smaller, make it larger, shrink the top to bottom, whatever the case may be. But that's what I like to do is I just send this over to my printer, make sure it works right. And then if it looks good, then I will send it to my sublimation printer. So I went ahead and printed it out. on regular printer paper. It looks great. The sizing is perfect. And so now I want to go ahead and send this over to my sublimation printer. So when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to remove these things because we don't need to really print those. Now we can leave the box if you want, but you just need to trim it off when you go ahead and cut it out. But I'm going to go ahead and take that off. And then one thing I like to do is I want to make sure that my printer is set up properly. And if I find that this file right here is perfect and good, I want to save this file so I can print multiple of these. I want to save it as a PNG file. Right now it's saved as an Adobe Illustrator file, but if I want to export it and do anything more with it, I want to save it as a PNG. So I'm going to do File, Export, Export As, and it's going to give me some options, and we are going to make sure it says PNG. So yes, there we go. I'm going to export it as a PNG, and that is how I want to do it. And there we go. And you can see the next thing we want, high resolution of 300 PPI. And then we have right there, we want to make sure that this doesn't say black. If you say white or black on the back of this, that is how it's going to save. You want to make sure you save it as transparent. And the reason why I say that is because that way you could lay this on top of anything. You don't want any background color. You just want it good to go. You want it, let me make sure this is all grouped. Yes. So see how that's transparent? So no matter what color your substrate is on the back, you're going to be able to do that. So okay, so this entire thing is all set up and ready to go, and we're going to go ahead and send it over to the printer to be printed. Now, if you're using a dedicated, say maybe a Sawgrass printer or something like that, and when you send it to your Sawgrass printer, it is going to reverse the image for you when you print it out. I'm using a converted printer, so in that case, I need to then reverse the image. So if I were to say File and Print, let me show you how this works. Just File and Print. You can see that this is the way it's going to print for me on my Epson printer. Now, the document size, my artboard is this, but the media size is the wrong size. So I need to change the setup in that. So let me go ahead and change to 8.5 by 14 and just hit OK. So now we know that it's on the right size there. But if you notice, one thing is that it's not reversed image. So let me go ahead and cancel this. And the reason why I like to do this is I do it before I print it. I just highlight everything, do a right click. I go to Transform and Reflect. You can also, and say, okay, and it just basically does a reverse image for me. You can also do that by going to Object, Transform, and Reflect. So going up to Object, Transform, Reflect. But I use shortcut keys and things like that. So here we go. So now this is good to go. I'm going to go ahead and it's all ready for my sub. I'm going to go ahead and send that over to my printer, and we are going to get that printed off, and we are good to go. And we'll be right back with the next step. Okay, so it printed beautifully. Here we go. This is the whole thing, right? All right, so it printed beautifully. So now what I need to do is I need to trim this down so that I could make it fit here. And I need to take off the handle for this because this particular one, the handles come off, and then that way it shrink wraps beautifully. This handle is plastic. There are some out there with metal handles. You don't have to take those. I mean, obviously the metal's not going to come off, right? But this is this particular one. We're going to take the lid off. We are going to take the handle off, and then we are going to wrap and tape the design. I'm not going to go crazy with the tape because we're going to shrink wrap it. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing prepped. I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm going to play a little video and a little bit of music with it, and it'll be good to go. So the other things you need to have is that, like I said before, this is heat, right? It's all about heat, the high temperature that which substrate makes the inks go into the substrate. So you're going to need a couple things. One, you're going to need some heat tape. This is just some blue heat tape. The one in particular one I'm using in the video here in just a second is like a yellowish one. I have it on a tape dispenser and I love it. It's perfect. You're also going to need a little heat glove. This actually came with my oven. So, and they sent me, but this thing will save your hand. Okay. So these things come out of the oven and the press and everything super scorching hot. And that way you can handle them so that you can peel off your design from your thing. The other thing we're going to need is our shrink wrap. The shrink wrap is what goes over the top of it once we get the design down, and all that is in the next upcoming video. So just hold on, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that real quickly on how to get this thing prepped and get it in the oven, and then we're going to see what it looks like when it comes out. Okay. Okay, guys, we are done. We did a complete tutorial from A to Z, I think, on how to sublimate something, how to draw it in Illustrator, how to export it out of Illustrator, how to print it out on a printer, sublimate it, get it all wrapped up, sublimate it in an oven, and then let's go ahead and see the end result. So now when you take this out of the oven, of course, it's all cooled down now because I don't have any gloves on at the moment, but it's all cooled down. You're just going to peel this paper off. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. Oh my gosh, guys, this looks amazing. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. All right, there you go. I got a little bit of a shrink wrap here that needs to come off as well, but it's just completely all the way around. The design came out beautifully. I know there's a glare and I apologize for that, but yeah, I think it looks amazing. This came out really, really good. I'm super excited about this particular project. So I hope that you guys learned a little bit something new, maybe adding a sublimation oven to your arsenal in your craft room. So I know now that I've got all the pieces I need. I've got a sublimation printer, I've got an oven, I've got a heat press for flat surfaces, for mugs, for everything. So even my heat press that I use has multiple attachments, so I can do plates and I can do tapered mugs and things like that. So if you decide to go down the sublimation route, it's super easy. And what I love the most about today's conference is that no matter which class you are taking or you participate in today, and I'm sure that every single one of these instructors today have something to share with you that you could make and create. And just remember that if you can digitize that and print it out as a PNG on a sublimation, you can sublimate it. So anything made today in any of these courses, you guys can sublimate it. So that's the beauty of sublimation, because it's not limited to layers and things like that. It's just, if you can print it, you can press it onto something sublimatable. So I'm super excited, you guys. I hope you had a great day. I hope you got lots of great information and you will tackle something new and maybe just tackle sublimation for the first time. So one thing I'm going to do, I know that now that I'm finished with my 40-ounce Stanley tumbler, I am off to make my next sublimation project. And if anyone knows anything about me, they know I love dogs. They know I love coffee. So I'm going to make this. It is a 32-ounce sublimation coffee carafe. That's right. I can't even wait. I can't even wait to be done with this so I can start designing that. I'm super excited, you guys. Thank you so much for coming to my class today. Don't forget about the freebie. There's a cute little video coming up right after this, but I just want to thank you all one more time. Thank you so much for coming to my class today. I hope you guys enjoyed all the instructors, all the classes, and everything illustration and art today. Thanks again. And don't forget to download your freebie from today's class. It's a cute little PNG file. You make my heart smile for your personal use. Thank you again for coming to my class today. I hope that you enjoy the illustration and art conference and have fun creating all kinds of great stuff and enjoy all things sublimation. Have a great day, everyone, and thanks again.